Inside the Parallax template, there are a large number of sheets that are pre-configured, similar to the views that we looked at in an earlier video. Also similar to the views, there are two different kinds of sheets that are configured. Below grouping 01, you'll find a large number of sheets that are set up for construction documents. Above grouping 01, where the groupings are in decimal fashion, you'll find a series of views that are what we call presentation or design sheets. These are the ones on the simpler title block meant for pre-construction documentation. As we discussed earlier, these views also use different view templates that are more made to give off a more presentation feel than the more medicinal construction documentation look and feel. The headings that you're seeing in the default project browser sorting for sheets are done through a manually input shared parameter that is present in all of the sheets. If you want to get a look for how this works, you can go into the drawing list or the sheet list that is called Sheets Index All Working. You'll notice that there are a number of different sheet lists inside the Parallax template. The All Working version will show you all of the additional parameters that are there for sorting your sheets. If you simply go to the condoc or the presentation drawing list, you'll see the more simplified versions that are what show up on the actual sheets, whereas the working schedule will allow you to make modifications to things like these discipline parameters. So the project browser itself and the drawing list that is used on the sheets are sorted with two different parameters. You'll find one that's called sheet discipline number, and you will find one that's called sheet discipline title. The reason for this is a limitation in Revit software where it will automatically sort by whatever parameter you tell it to in alphabetical order. This means that if you want to do things like get project information, which starts with a P, to the front of the drawing list, you would have to do a bunch of trickery. So what we do is there is what's called sheet discipline number, where the title we would like to use is simply prefixed with a number based on the order we would like it to sort in. We've told the drawing list to sort using this field. However, we've then included the exact same information without the integer, and that's called the sheet discipline title. We've told all of the drawing lists to then include a header based on the version that doesn't have the integer. The result is the construction document schedule shows us the titles we would like to see, but also puts things in the order we would like them in without having to manually number all of the sheets. There is also an additional parameter that's called sheet sort order. In addition to sorting by sheet discipline number, the drawings are then numbered based on their sheet number, again in what Revit will perceive as alphabetical order. If there is a particular reason that you need to move a sheet to the end of a grouping, you can use the sheet sort order or sheet sort override parameter to do it. It's important to realize that that doesn't mean that you need to fill in this parameter for every sheet in the grouping. Since their default value is all null, for instance, if you decide for whatever reason that a 0.15 needs to come after 0.54, you don't need to fill in any of the other ones. You can simply put a 1 in that sheet and it will move that sheet to the end. You don't need to include a 2 for any sheets that you would like to come after a.15. You can still use a 1 because since these are now both a higher value than null, they will sort together. If you then needed to do something further out of the ordinary, like move a 0.02 after those sheets, you could then move to the next number, such as number 2. This should only really be used if you absolutely need it. And keep in mind that in Revit, a blank value is not the same as a null value, which means once you have filled these parameters in, blanking them out will then not put the sheets back in correct order because these three now have a value of blank instead of a value of 1. In order to solve this, you would have to go fill a 1 in for all of these sheets. That's just the way Revit works with the difference between null value and 1 value. So all of the sheets get a discipline number and a discipline name. Some of the sheets get a sort value override. Your construction document sheet index is basically looking for a sheet discipline number greater than 00. That means the presentation sheets, which are decimal fashion, and the home view, which is decimal fashion, all are filtered out because they come before the construction document sheet list. This also means that there is a section at the very end of our project browser that we call 99 Do Not Print. Any sheets that are moved to 99 Do Not Print will automatically be removed from the drawing list as well. You'll see that in the template out of the box there is a sheet called Legend References, and that sheet automatically does not get included in the drawing list. Something that's handy to keep in mind is if it's earlier in a project and, for instance, you are not yet issuing equipment plans, what you may want to do is simply grab all of your equipment plans, and instead of setting them to not show up in the drawing list, you can actually just move their sheet discipline number to 99, Do Not Print, at which point they are now automatically removed from the drawing list. This is handy because then you don't have to worry about later somebody remembering to turn back on Appears in Sheet List, as they can just move the sheets back into the correct discipline number. And this also gets to be important if, for instance, you want to have a second set of drawings that are for the equipment list, but that you don't want those drawings to be present in the condoc list. If you uncheck the box for Appears in Sheet List, you have taken them out of all sheet lists, and you cannot undo that for specific drawing indexes. One thing to keep in mind about this process is it will be extremely important that your consultants fill in their discipline information using the exact same parameters and the exact same system. For that reason, we recommend keeping a pre-formatted email on your company server that spells out specifically what discipline numbers and what discipline titles you would like each consultant to use, and then including instructions for how to use Insert from File, Insert Views to pull in the drawing list straight from this template into your consultant's models, where they can then fill in their discipline information. If they use the exact system that's inside this email, everything will populate correctly when you go to link in all of the consultant's models into your drawing list. Please note, the specific body of this email that calls out the discipline numbers may vary from office to office based on the hierarchy or order that you'd like to see your drawings in. So consult your individual office's template and your office's individual pre-formatted email. That should make it so that all of your sheets are showing up in the drawing list correctly. And that is a brief overview on all of the sheets that are in the Parallax template. Keep in mind that when you run those earlier dynamo graphs that are meant to remove partial plans not needed or levels not needed, the number of sheets will drop considerably, as it will strip out the erroneous sheets as well.